Am I the a-hole for telling my dad he had to choose between me and his fiancée when he prioritized her surgery over mine? I'm 17 and have had a complicated relationship with my dad. He and my mum got married when I was born, hoping to give me a stable family, but they divorced when I was 11 after my dad went to rehab. Things only got worse from there. While in rehab, my dad met his current fiancée and they later had a daughter together who is 6 years old now. Since then, my dad has been largely absent from my life. Whenever something important comes up for me, he either makes excuses or just doesn't show up. Honestly, I'd say he's been there for less than half of my important events since they divorced. It's been incredibly painful, and it's hard not to feel like I'm not a priority for him. A few years ago, I was diagnosed with scoliosis. At first, the doctors said surgery wouldn't be needed, but my condition got worse, and eventually surgery was scheduled for November 20th of this year. I told my dad about it months in advance, explaining how much I needed his support this time. He promised me he would be there. After all, I really needed him. But then he sent me a text saying he'd planned a vacation that would keep him away until mid-December, right as my recovery would be ending. It was crushing, but I tried to accept it. Then, just a few days later, the vacation spot he was going to was hit by 2 hurricanes. He texted again, saying he would make it to my surgery after all. I felt a glimmer of hope and really believed he was coming through for me. But then, just 1 week before my surgery, he texted me yet again. This time, he told me that his fiancée's lung cancer surgery had been scheduled for the same day, only a few hours before mine, at a hospital 30 minutes away. He said he might not make it to my surgery, but with him might not always means won't. And then he added that this wasn't about who he loved more. That was the moment everything fell apart for me. I realized, no matter how much I hoped and no matter how much I needed him, he was never going to give me the support I needed. I broke down in the kitchen that day, completely devastated. After sitting with my feelings for a while, I decided I needed to say something. I texted him, telling him how deeply his actions hurt me. I told him that this wasn't just about love, it was about showing care and being there for me. I reminded him that he had given me hope only to let me down again. I even questioned if his fiancée's surgery had been scheduled at the last minute, or if he had known about it earlier and hadn't told me. I asked him to show me that he was my dad through his actions, not just his empty promises. He responded, insisting that her surgery was scheduled at the last minute. But because of the lies he's told in the past to cover up his own shortcomings, I didn't trust him. So I reached out to someone who might know the truth. I followed up with another text, making sure he knew that my frustration wasn't about his fiancée. It was about his continuous absence and lack of support. Even if the surgery was scheduled last minute, I told him, he could have at least shown some empathy. I ended the message by saying that I hoped he'd be a better father to my half-sister than he's been to me. And in my final message, I told him that I was done doing all the work to maintain our relationship. If he wanted to be my dad, I would gladly be his daughter. But if he chose not to, I would be fine with that too. I wasn't going to beg him for attention or affection anymore. He hasn't responded, and honestly, I'm kind of relieved. I'm hoping that for once he actually sits with what I said and reflects on his actions. Maybe he'll realize how much he's hurt me, and maybe he'll think about the kind of father he's been, or more accurately, the kind of father he hasn't been. So now I'm asking, am I the a-hole for saying what I did to my dad? Did I overreact, or was I justified in telling him how I feel?